All right, welcome. Today, we are diving deep into a global competition that isn't being fought with tanks and jets, but inside massive server farms. We're talking about the new algorithmic arms race, where the weapons are literally lines of code, and the prize? Well, it could be global supremacy. So let's get right into it.
Okay, so this quote right here, it absolutely nails the core idea. You see, what used to be a kind of pure scientific mission to build better tech, well, that's completely changed. It's now a centerpiece of national strategy. For the biggest powers on the planet, getting ahead in AI isn't just a goal, it's seen as the key to future power.
So what are we actually talking about when we say new race? Well, forget everything you know about traditional arms races. No more stockpiles of steel and gunpowder. The competition today, it's all about who can get the most computing power, who can gather the most data, and who can build the most powerful AI models. Yeah, this is a race measured in silicon and data, not megatons.
Right, so let's dig into this first. We're going to look at exactly why countries have pivoted so hard on this. Why is cutting-edge AI suddenly not just an economic thing, but something that's seen as absolutely critical for national security and, their place on the world stage?
And the ultimate goal here, the holy grail of this whole race, is something called artificial general intelligence, or AGI. Think of it like this: an AI that can think and reason just like a human across pretty much any task. I mean, the country that gets there first, they don't just get a leg up. They could literally rewrite the rule book of global power. It would change everything, from their economy to their military.
For a while there, it really seemed like this was a race dominated by the West. But that's changing, and it's changing fast. We're now seeing this powerful new model out of China called DeepSeek-R1, and it's a huge signpost showing just how intense and how global this competition has really become.
And make no mistake, this is not just some company's side project. DeepSeek-R1 is a direct outcome of China's national strategy, their big push to become a world leader in AI. It's really a symbol of this massive, top-down investment in building their own core AI power.
And just to give you a sense of the sheer scale we're talking about, look at this. DeepSeek-R1 is estimated to have hundreds of billions of parameters. Now, you can basically think of these parameters as the artificial neurons in the model's brain. The more you have, the more complex the patterns and ideas it can learn. It's just massive.
Okay, so what's the secret sauce here? What's the technology that's actually powering these new AI behemoths? Well, the answer goes back to a truly revolutionary breakthrough from just a few years ago that honestly changed the entire game.
Man, we have come such a long way from the really simple AI back in the 50s. Every step on this timeline was a big deal, but it was the invention of something called the transformer architecture in the mid-2010s that really lit the fuse for the explosion we're seeing right now.
Now, this idea of attention, that's the real magic here. It's the secret sauce. Think about how you read a sentence. You don't just go word by word, right? Your brain automatically knows which words are important and how they connect to each other. Well, transformer models do basically the same thing. They look at the whole sentence or even a whole document all at once and figure out the relationships between the words to understand the real context.
So this new architecture led to this really wild discovery, something we now call the scaling laws. It turns out researchers found a surprisingly simple recipe for making AI way more powerful. Just keep making the models bigger, feed them way more data, and throw an insane amount of computing power at them. And when you do that, performance just predictably gets better and better.
So this chart here, it's basically the recipe for modern AI. You crank up the model size, you crank up the data, and you crank up the compute. But here's the really wild part. What happens next? You get these emergent capabilities. These are abilities the AI wasn't specifically trained to do, like writing code or solving logic puzzles. It just figures them out on its own once it gets big enough. It's pretty incredible. But okay, let's be real. This tech isn't just about writing better emails or making cool art. It's what's known as a dual-use technology, which is a fancy way of saying it can be used for incredible good and for serious military power. So let's look at the prize and the peril. I mean, look at this. On one side, you have AI powering amazing tools for personalized education or helping scientists make new discoveries. But on the other side, that exact same underlying technology can be used to analyze surveillance footage, guide autonomous weapons, or run incredibly complex war game simulations.
And this is what brings us right back to the idea of an arms race. The ability for a nation to build and control these advanced models on their own without having to rely on anyone else, that is now seen as an absolutely critical piece of strategic military advantage.
And the potential military uses are just everywhere. We're talking about AI fundamentally changing intelligence analysis, logistics and supply chains, and even the very nature of cyber and information warfare. It's a total paradigm shift.
So this intense race is pushing us really fast toward a whole new frontier. And this one isn't just about technology. It's deeply ethical. It's philosophical. We're being forced to grapple with some of the biggest questions our species has ever had to face.
And right at the heart of all of this is something called the alignment problem. And it's a huge one. How do you build something that could one day be much, much smarter than you and make absolutely sure that its goals stay lined up with ours? How do we know it's going to stay on our team, so to speak?
So when you look at it, this whole algorithmic arms race, it's not just about which country builds the smartest AI first. It's really a race to solve this deep problem of control before we create something we can't control. The stakes aren't just about who wins the race. It's about making sure humanity, as a whole, doesn't lose.